Thank you, Dr. Pamira. Suvira, it was a very good talk she gave, and especially when you come after a stylish speaker, which is how I get tongue-tied. If I miss out some of the words. Well, the talk is in two parts. One is post-vitrectomized eye and high myopia. First, I'll show some of the clippings on post-vitrectomized eye. Most of if that post eye is with silicone oil, there are different ways a silicone oil filled eye will present. Like in this case, the eye is literally filled with silicone oil, but thanks to good quality viscoelastic like dispersion, if you have good control on the anterior chamber, you can safely push back all the silicone oil back into the place where it has come from. And if you are careful enough to ensure that you are operating on a positive, positively filled eye, you can safely prevent that silicone oil from coming into the AC. But not very often you will have that kind of silicone oil that would obey. Like in this case, again a post-vitrectomized eye. To start with, there is no silicone oil, and as you proceed, it comes. But when you have such solitary bubbles, they don't really matter because you can safely proceed with your thing. But one thing is certain, that there are times in such cases you have to have some way by which you keep a positive pressure. Like in this case, I'm using an AC maintainer. And the use of AC maintainer is especially important when you're changing over from phaco-tip to IA, or when you're changing sides. And when it comes to putting a lens, it has to be a 3-piece lens. And for a 3-piece, I prefer to implant the lens in front of the AC, in front of the iris, and then gradually, tuck it into the bag, but make sure it's in the bag, because if you have a lens in the sulcus, there are chances of lens sliding or lens decentering very hard. And at the end of it, you can always wash out the extra silicone. Now this is a very, very unusual case, but since it is also one of those post-vitrectomized eye, I thought of showing it because it's a very, very interesting case. Although I know it's an eye that is filled with silicone oil, and I also know that posterior capsular plaques are very common and you can do nothing about it. I just took a chance and tried to remove the plaque, which obviously I cannot. Then I decided what will happen if I do a posterior capsulotomy, and to my luck, what happened is, you see here, that silicone oil anterior face is so much intact that all this procedure is happening under irrigation. I get a hold onto it. I start tearing it, and the silicone oil doesn't misbehave, and the face doesn't break. But I very often discussed it with retinal surgeons. They are not able to explain why. But here I have a partially made posterior capsulotomy, and the silicone oil, is still, the face is intact, and I'm still in the irrigation. And then I don't want to go any further, so I just managed to cut it. and a 3-piece lens is kept in the sulcus simply because, no, not in the sulcus, in the bag of course, just because it was related and very interesting, I thought I would share it with, although not directly connected. Now my main topic is about surgery in a myope, and I think there are a lot of things that we really need to look at. Very often, when you operate on a myope, the amount of turbulence and fluctuation in the anterior chamber that occurs, is it really okay for the posterior pole? Is it okay for the peripheral retina, which is not healthy? Considering all that, I think one has to give a special attention when it comes to operating on a myope, especially if that myope has a soft cataract. It doesn't really matter much in terms of nucleus management, but maintaining a good anterior chamber becomes very important. There are different ways in which you can maintain. This is the AC maintainer that we use, but one could have an intermittent AC maintainer as well, in which your irrigation works like an intermittent AC maintainer, where when you want to change from one side to another side, what you saw just now was the anterior capsular posterior surface that was polished, which I prefer to do for 2 reasons. One, you would definitely see these are the people who may also have zonules which are not very strong, and if they get anterior capsular fibrosis, you tend to get some amount of capsular phimosis, which you can certainly avoid in a myope. And then the next thing is prophylactic use of endocapsular ring for whatever doubtful benefit it gives you. In this case, I put it for its benefit of stretching the posterior capsule and not for the PCO. When it stretches, it definitely prevents some of the folds that you get on the posterior capsule. And these are the cases where of late, very often we put these single piece lenses, and these capsular bags are normally larger than normal size, and so the lens can be a little loose in that. So it does a dual function of stretching the posterior capsule, preventing the PDC folds, and whatever little benefit it has of preventing the cells from coming in, and it occupies some amount in the bag, so the lens can snugly fit in. So these were some of the uses that some of these different steps that are used when it comes to doing high myope. And I thought these were some of the points I thought I would share with you. Thank you so much.